Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier from The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles of philosophy, spirituality, mysticism, business, and good planning to rapid lifestyle transformation. What that specifically means is getting you free from a job and a boss within 6 months to a year. It is a very noble aim and intention. It's a noble goal. In fact, what is the very definition of nobility? What has nobility always meant, whether in the West or in other cultures? It has always meant not having to pay, not having to earn something, but to inherit something. It comes after an archetype. It is a heavenly archetype, and the great Friedrich Schumann knew this well when he said that the worst king is better than the best president. And why is that, they asked him. He said because it follows an archetype. And if you want to know more about archetypes, look at Plato, look at especially his work Timaeus. And there are spiritual and eternal archetypes for everything that we see now. And everything that we see now is basically just a reflection of those archetypes. But I digress. It's very interesting. It's even very useful to know this philosophy, because when you know that, then you know that everything that you want and everything that you do, every desire that was instilled into you by the divine, has its precedent and indeed its existence on, if not many dimensions, at least a few other dimensions, let's say. At least one other dimension, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to have that desire. And I dare say that the desire of freedom from a job and a boss is universal. Because even those people that say, well, I want to work at a job, well, they're working at that job out of desire, out of choice. And that's the only reason why we here on The Real Javier Novoa would encourage you to get a job with a boss or in any kind of hierarchy. Because you want to do it, because you love it, and then we say go all in and excel at the game. And we give you the tools on this channel to excel at that game as well. If you want to excel in the game of business and hierarchy and so on and so forth, well, I have a lot of experience in business. I've been working in business and in consulting for 20 years here in my 38 years. I can hardly believe I'm turning 38 here in October. That is wild, but anyway. I have 20 years of experience or more behind me in building and establishing business, and a little bit less than that in consulting other people with their businesses and indeed with their lives. So it's a pleasure for me to do it here. So ladies and gentlemen, as I always ask, if you've not subscribed to the channel, I really encourage you to subscribe, because not only will you be getting alerts to all of our almost daily videos, weekly mini videos, and most of the time daily videos on rapid lifestyle transformation, on the law of assumption, law of attraction, on philosophy, sometimes on politics, on any issues that I think can be utilized and leveraged to impact your life in a positive way, ladies and gentlemen. That's the name of the game. You'll be getting those. You'll be energetically joining with a group of like-minded people, with a group of manifestors. As Joe Dispenza talks about his events, of course you can meditate alone and you can get benefit alone. You don't need others. But when you go and meditate with others and pull your energy with a group, that energy packs a powerful punch and has measurable impacts, ladies and gentlemen. This has been measured by Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, and others. These are scientifically measurable, viewable, calculable impacts, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be making videos more about that in the future. So I'd encourage you for all of these reasons, and very important, you're going to be helping me get the word out, because I believe it's my mission, ladies and gentlemen. It's my calling to help as many people as possible get free from the prison grid. The times are calling for that. So I will give you a moment right now to please subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for subscribing. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go deeper into the first stages of the first stage. How do you like that? The first stage of the first stage of this meta planning. And if you want to know more about what we're talking about, the entire planning process, go back to the last probably 12 or so videos. We have been talking about strategic planning, and that's what the next few weeks are going to be focused on, because it's a strategic plan, ladies and gentlemen, in the way that we teach it here on The Real Javier Novoa, from a holistic perspective, from a right brain and left brain perspective. That's going to basically get your left brain out of the way and allow your right brain to go to work, to do its work. Because as Neville Goddard said, when you have a desire, the path to that desire is already included in that seed of desire. Just like the entire map of the tree, or the blueprint of the tree, and we know this from biology and so on and so forth, is somehow included in the DNA, so to speak, of that seed. A finer, shall we say, nuanced view of this, and it's all implied in what I just said, the premises that we just gave, is that the path to your desire is another desire. You follow me? So, the path that I believe you want to take your desires, the path of least resistance, it's the path of most growth, it's the path of most joy, it's the path of least hassle. And you get that path by sitting down and contemplating, by basically shutting your left brain up, and basically just allowing your left brain to be a sort of, shall we say, not a filter, but sort of a pointer, so to speak. That's a good word. You're using your left brain to point at what you want. Abraham Hicks talked about this, I believe. And then the right brain basically carries you there and generates ideas, which are then taken by the left brain, developed, and implemented. Hope you understand this just a little bit, and if you don't, you will here today or in the next few days. So, this beginning project stage, we're intentionally giving this right now about 3 weeks. What I've encouraged you to do is on Sunday we started the first stage of this meta planning, which is planning how to plan. And tomorrow we're going to go into the technical steps and tools that you can use to do this. By October 1st, or by October 3rd, which happens to be my birthday, by the way, you will be ready to launch the first stage of your year plan. And we're giving this plan a year for a reason. But the first 6 months are going to be the testing and iteration phases of that. So right now what you're doing is you're basically getting into the mindset, you're setting up your gear, and you're even allowing yourself to do some practice on what it's going to be like to actually be in that 6 months of research and implementation. And we have a lot of details to go into in that in the next few videos. But today I just wanted to take an idea and run with it. And that idea is, look, on this film roll, because remember, time is irrelevant when you're in the state, and we're going to be encouraging you to get into the state many times a day. Get into the state of what it is you want. What's going to be the end result of this whole planning process? Well, it's going to be, we're going to be focusing in this example of strategic planning on getting you streams of income so that you don't have to go to work for a job or a boss. So, what you're going to be thinking about is, how much income do I need? How much time do I want to focus on it? For many of you, it won't be 8 hours a day. For me, it's 3 to 4 hours a day. And with days off and taking as many days off as I can. You have to craft that. And we're going to show you again, as we have in other videos, about how to write down your focus or your goal, or as Trevor Blake would call your intention, as a letter. And then you basically list the physical aspects of that, and you list the emotional aspects of that. Then you get into state. You should have already done this. And if you haven't, that's perfectly fine. Refer to my previous video a few days ago where I talked about that. But so, you're getting into state. You're knowing exactly what you already have. But now within the game, because your main objective now is to get your left brain out of the way. Because as soon as, especially in the first stages, as soon as you get into state, but as Neville Goddard says, just like the story of Jacob and Esau, and I believe it was when they deceived his father, correct? And the father, he was basically deceived because he was blind, and the son, I was Isaac, I'm sorry, I believe it was Isaac. And the son basically deceived him by fooling him that he was Esau, and then he got the blessing. We can read the stories for the exact details here, but Neville Goddard goes into the fact that when you close your eyes and you imagine that state, you get into that state, if you get into it fully and completely, ladies and gentlemen, when you open your eyes, you're going to be in shock as the old world rushes in upon you. Now, what's going to happen? Your left brain is going to start trying to make sense of that, saying, well, that was just a daydream, and you really, you're not here now, it's going to be hard to get there, it's going to take time, and you have to do all this. You know how the left brain and that voice in your head starts trying to pull you down, because it is actually the prison grid. Because remember, the prison grid is within you. So, the whole point of this planning process, ladies, I'm going to give you a secret. Come here. I'm going to tell you a secret. This planning process isn't about having a plan so that you can achieve it. No, because you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve through the steps of this plan. It's going to come to you serendipitously, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to expand and grow. But you are going to enjoy the planning process. But what this plan is for is to shut your left brain up. That's right. Just for a little while. And have it take the servant's place instead of the master's place. The master's place actually doesn't even go to the right brain, it goes to the observer. And the observer is the I am. But under the observer has basically the right brain and the left brain as tools. And even that's too dualistic. No words are going to do this justice, but just know that the right brain needs to be in charge of making it happen, and the left brain just needs to be in charge of deciding what it wants to happen. Because your desires are going to be according to your humanness, to your human desires, to your left brain, and also according to your senses, but then you leave that to the right brain, which is the divine within you. Hope you understand me just a little bit. So, when we go into that planning phase, especially the way we're going to teach it here, is to shut your left brain up. Now, the idea that I just want to very quickly, this is going to be a short video, but I want to very quickly take and run with today is, again, inspired by the great Steven Pressfield and by the great Tim Ferriss. If you've not watched the interview with Tim Ferriss and Steven Pressfield, two giants in the world of writing, education, optimization, and so on and so forth, accelerated learning, things that we're very interested in here on the Real High Vietnam, to the extent that they better your life and get you off the prison grid. But they both talk about, look, Steven Pressfield had this comment about there's a writing process, and he knew a book would take him like 2 years, right? So, okay, it's going to take 2 years, okay? And that's why we've given this 1 year time frame. Of course, the other secret is, if you're going quantum, as Joe Dispenza says, you're outside of time and space. Therefore, it's not going to take that much time, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to come to you much faster. But you need to fool your left brain into thinking it's going to be a year. Why is that? As Steven Pressfield said, I have 2 years, so I can have as many rough drafts as I want. I can have 15, 20 rough drafts. Why? Because I have time. So don't be afraid to do a rough draft and to do a sloppy rough draft. So, Tim Ferriss also said, he said when he starts a project that he has no idea how to do, he asks himself, okay, if you're stuck, and because a lot of times, it's even for those of you who've never done a strategic planning process before, you're going to feel like, I have no idea how to do this. You're going to feel nervous when you first try to do it. So what you do is you say, okay, Tim Ferriss said, A very bad iteration of this or example of this would be what? Okay, a very horrible first plan or first draft of a plan would look like what? And then get to work on that. And just allow yourself to make a horrible draft. Okay, well, the first 6 months, I'm going to sit down and smoke cigars and drink brandy and, maybe something will come to me. Okay, that's a rough draft of what your 6 months are going to be like. You keep on doing those, ladies and gentlemen, and you keep correcting, smoothing out those errors as you will when you just sit down to do it, to work on your plan. Pretty soon, it's not going to take 15, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to take about 3 or 4. Pretty soon you're going to have a whole plan just come to you, inspired in your mind. The great Trevor Blake, who is he knows all of these principles and these laws. He knows the law of assumption, and he is an executive for a pharmaceutical company. He's a multi-millionaire, ladies and gentlemen. He's written books about this. We'd encourage you to read all of Trevor Blake's books. Very interesting guy. He said that he was priming his pump, so to speak, and he was doing a lot of the methods that we're going to be recommending on this channel. But he couldn't come up with an idea. Then all of a sudden he was walking through an airport, and the whole idea of a whole business, just in full blueprint-like form, came to him while I was walking, and he just broke out in laughter. He said people thought he'd gone crazy. But this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Einstein. Look at Tesla. Look at all of the great men of invention, men of business, and so on and so forth. The idea comes when you prime the pump and when you get your left brain out of the way. And getting your left brain out of the way, the best way to do it is to just give it room to make a bad rough draft, ladies and gentlemen. So for these first few days, remember, you have 3 weeks, and all we're doing in this process is just planning the first stage, the first 6 months, which are going to be research and development of streams of income and testing those to see which ones will stick, to see if they'll work. We're going to teach you details of how to do that. But you say, Javier, I've never done a business in my life. I've never balanced a checkbook. I've never had $100 savings. I don't care, because you know what? You're going to allow your imagination to roam free. You're going to journal, and you're going to say, you know what? Why can't I start a multi-million-dollar company and just see what happens? You might not do it. You might end up laughing at what you've written, but keep making rough drafts, and pretty soon you're going to feel comfortable with the process. You're going to feel joy in the process. And soon, you're going to start hearing and feeling those promptings from the right brain that are going to get you to a winner, ladies and gentlemen, even according to just bland materialism. That's the beautiful thing about this modality, is that you don't have to believe in our philosophy. You don't have to believe or accept law of assumption or law of attraction. All you have to do is believe, accept common sense. They say, throw enough mud against the wall and it'll stick. Look at all of the great entrepreneurs. Many of them failed 15, 20 times. And they didn't believe in this stuff. They were just blindly groping around. A fool can do this, ladies and gentlemen, as long as they just keep trying. Because eventually, according to the law of averages, you're going to come upon some gold. And if you allow yourself to do these rough drafts, you're going to get into that flow. You're going to get into your right brain. And you're going to be taking turns. You're going to be taking down paths that we can't even predict here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the magic. The magic is beginning. Sit down and do it, ladies and gentlemen. Sit down 15 to 20 minutes a day at least to start this planning process. And I don't care. People talk about working out. And some people, they wake up in the morning and they just get into their gear, but they don't feel like working out. Do that enough and you will. Tonight, go sit down in your chair and say, you know what, I sat down, okay, and get up if you don't feel like doing it. After about 3 nights of that, you will start producing something. And we're going to tell you exactly how to do it. We can give you some guidelines, and you're going to take off with this and run, ladies and gentlemen. It's very fun. It's very exciting. I'm excited as we go through this process together. So thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I am doing coaching calls, which are really taking off. I will put my email in the description. I will take you hand in hand through this path of rapid lifestyle transformation, getting you free from a job and a boss within 6 months to a year, I look forward to hearing from you and doing business together. Thanks for sharing the videos. Thanks for commenting on the videos. But most of all, thank you for coming with me on this journey. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa signing off. Ciao for now. See you later.